Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, coin collectors and enthusiasts. If you're a fan of discovering hidden treasures, you're in for a real treat today. We're about to dive deep into the fascinating world of a particular coin that may be sitting right in your collection or hiding in your change jar, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin. At first glance, this coin may seem like just another penny, but trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at the true value of the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin, the Lincoln cent, introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, has been a staple in American currency for over a century. Throughout its long history, the coin has undergone several design changes, with the most iconic and well-known being the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side of the coin, which was introduced in 1959. The 1980 Lincoln cent is part of a much-loved series and has since become a sought-after item in the numismatic world. Now, you might be wondering, why does a simple penny like the 1980 Lincoln 1 cent have value? That's the million-dollar question, and the answer lies in the rare combination of factors that can make this specific penny worth a pretty penny, pun intended. Let's start by considering the 1980 Lincoln 1 cent circulation. During this period, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, and it's no secret that pennies are among the most common and least valuable coins in circulation. So, why is this coin suddenly getting attention from collectors? Well, the answer is that it's not about how many coins were made, but how well they were kept over time. The 1980 Lincoln cent was produced in large numbers, but the key to its increased value lies in its condition. Like many coins, the vast majority of these pennies were used in day-to-day transactions and have been subject to wear and tear. Most 1980 Lincoln cents you come across today are not in prime condition. They may have scratches, dings, or discoloration. However, if you're lucky enough to have one in mint condition, free from any significant damage, you could be holding a small treasure in your hand. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition, preferably uncirculated and still in their original state, are much more valuable than those that have been worn through years of use. Uncirculated coins are ones that were never used in circulation and show no signs of wear or damage. These coins were typically stored carefully and may have been preserved in a safe or collection for years, making them incredibly valuable today. The pristine condition of the coin enhances its desirability among collectors, and collectors often seek out these uncirculated versions to complete their sets, but that's not all. If you happen to have a 1980 Lincoln 1 cent with a minting error, then you could have something even more valuable. Minting errors are a huge draw for collectors, as they are extremely rare and offer a unique twist on an otherwise standard coin. Minting errors could range from off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, to double dies, where the image appears twice on the coin due to a mistake during the minting process. These types of errors can drastically increase the value of a coin because of their rarity and uniqueness. Even small flaws or imperfections in the coin's design can make it a standout piece for collectors willing to pay top dollar. So, what are the chances of finding a 1980 Lincoln cent with a minting error? While these errors are rare, they do happen, and collectors are constantly on the lookout for them. If you happen to stumble upon one, it could be worth far more than its face value. In fact, some error coins have been known to fetch impressive sums at auctions, with prices soaring into the thousands, or even higher. Now, let's talk about the market demand for the 1980 Lincoln 1 cent. While this coin may not be as famous as the 1943 copper penny or other rare Lincoln cents, it has gained significant interest from collectors over the years. Collecting pennies, especially those from specific years, is a hobby that's been growing steadily, and people are increasingly realizing that coins like the 1980 Lincoln 1 cent may have more value than they initially thought. The demand for well-preserved, high-quality 1980 Lincoln cents continues to rise, which means that their value will likely keep increasing as more collectors look to add them to their portfolios. If you're wondering just how much your 1980 Lincoln cent could be worth, the answer depends on its condition, rarity, and any special features it may have, like a minting error. But to give you an idea of just how much a 1980 Lincoln 1 cent can be worth in today's market, some of these coins have been known to sell for as much as $40,600. Yes, you read that right, $40,600 for a single penny. it's incredible to think that a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent could now be worth a small fortune. But this is the magic of coin collecting, a world where even the most modest coins can become treasures with the right combination of condition, rarity, and demand. So, if you've got a collection of pennies from the 1980s, it's time to take a closer look. Check your 1980 Lincoln cents carefully to see if any are in mint condition or show signs of a minting error. You might just have a rare find that could make you a lot of money. Today, we've got a real treat for you, especially if you're into US coins. We're diving deep into the 1974 Lincoln 1 cent, a coin that many people may dismiss as just another penny, but let me tell you, there's a lot more to this little copper-clad coin than meets the eye. The Lincoln 1 cent has been a cornerstone of American currency for over a century, and the 1974 Lincoln cent is no exception. First introduced back in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent has undergone several design changes over the years, but the one thing that has remained consistent is the image of President Lincoln himself on the obverse, facing right with his trademark beard. On the reverse, you'll typically find the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a symbol that has represented the U.S. since 1959. Now, let's talk about the 1974 Lincoln 1 cent specifically. This year's penny was minted at a time when the U.S. economy was in an interesting position. The country was grappling with inflation, and the value of money was starting to shift. Many people were using more and more coins in everyday transactions, and pennies were certainly no exception. With millions of 1974 Lincoln cents being produced and circulated, you might think that finding a rare and valuable one is unlikely. After all, it's just a penny, right? But, as any seasoned collector will tell you, value in the world of coins is not just about how many were made, it's about the condition, rarity, and sometimes the mistakes made during production. So, what exactly makes the 1974 Lincoln cent so special? The key factor here is the condition of the coin. While most of these coins were used in everyday circulation and have gone through the usual wear and tear, coins that have been carefully preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition are a different story altogether. Uncirculated coins, by definition, have never been used in commerce and show no signs of wear from handling or circulation. These coins often come from mint sets, where they were packaged directly after production, shielded from the elements, and stored with care. Because of their rarity and the meticulous care they received, uncirculated 1974 Lincoln cents are far more valuable than the typical, worn-down pennies that most of us have seen or used, but it doesn't stop there. In the world of coin collecting, minting errors can be the true holy grail. These are the coins that were produced with some kind of flaw or mistake during the minting process, and trust me, collectors go wild for them. When it comes to the 1974 Lincoln cent, there are a few key minting errors that could drastically increase its value. For example, a double die error, where the image of Lincoln or the date appears doubled, can make this coin incredibly valuable. Even minor errors like off-center strikes or a die crack can make your coin more desirable to collectors. Mint errors are so highly sought after because they are unique and rare. It's not every day that a coin gets minted incorrectly, and when they do, they become highly prized treasures. In fact, collectors and investors are willing to pay a premium for these error coins because they are one-of-a-kind pieces, and finding them in such good condition only adds to their allure. But there's another factor that plays into the 1974 Lincoln 1 cent's value: the overall demand for these coins. Even though millions of these pennies were minted, they've become an important part of the historical record, particularly for coin collectors who are interested in completing specific years or sets. Whether you're looking for coins with historical significance, coins from a certain mint, or simply a well-preserved piece, the 1974 Lincoln cent fits the bill. For those who might be wondering just how much a 1974 Lincoln cent can actually be worth, the answer depends on its condition and any potential mint errors it may feature. Coins that have been well preserved and are still in mint state have sold for substantial amounts in the collector's market. But here's the exciting part: if you happen to have a 1974 Lincoln cent in uncirculated condition, or perhaps even one with a rare minting error, you could be looking at a potential payout that will knock your socks off. Some of these rare and well-preserved pennies have been known to sell for as much as $44,500. That's right, a single penny, originally worth just 1 cent, could be worth $44,500 in the right condition, especially if it's a rare version with a minting error or a flawless, uncirculated coin. For the casual coin collector or even those just starting to build their collections, this is a powerful reminder that even the most seemingly ordinary coins can hold extraordinary value. If you happen to come across a 1974 Lincoln cent in great condition, or better yet, with a minting error, don't just brush it off. Take a closer look and consider getting it appraised by a professional. You never know, your pocket change could be hiding a coin worth a small fortune. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos where we uncover more amazing and valuable coins from history. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1975 Lincoln 1 cent. Now, you might be thinking, a penny? Isn't that just pocket change? Well, hold on to your seat, because this penny is anything but ordinary. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at how much this seemingly small coin could be worth today. The Lincoln 1 cent has been a staple in U.S. currency for more than a century. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, this coin has a long and storied history. Over the years, the Lincoln cent has undergone a variety of design changes, but the most enduring and recognizable feature is the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But today, we're focusing on a specific year in this series, the 1975 Lincoln cent. You may not realize it, but the 1975 Lincoln 1 cent is a coin with a rich history. Produced during a time of economic challenges in the U.S., the 1970s were marked by high inflation and rising costs of living. It was also the year after the United States celebrated its 200th anniversary of independence, which made the year 1975 a pivotal one in American history. But while the historical context adds some significance to the 1975 penny, the real value in this coin comes down to its condition and the rarity of finding one in great shape. The 1975 Lincoln cent was produced in large quantities, like most pennies of the era, and was widely circulated in daily transactions. However, like any coin, the ones that have survived the test of time and remain in mint condition are the ones that have the potential to fetch higher prices today. But let me tell you, finding a 1975 Lincoln cent in mint condition is no easy feat. Coins that have been used in circulation, even for just a short time, often show signs of wear and tear. Most of the 1975 pennies you'll encounter are scratched, tarnished, or simply worn down by years of being passed around as change. But uncirculated coins, those that were carefully stored and never used in circulation, are a different story entirely. Uncirculated coins are often the ones that hold the most value. These are coins that have been preserved in pristine condition, with no visible wear or signs of handling. If you happen to have a 1975 Lincoln cent that's in mint condition, you could be holding onto a coin that is far more valuable than you might have guessed. The key here is to look for a coin that has sharp details, no scratches or discoloration, and a clear, crisp design. Such coins are highly desirable in the coin collecting community because they are rare, and many collectors seek them out to complete their collections. But that's not the only factor that could increase the value of your 1975 Lincoln cent. Minting errors are a huge deal in the coin collecting world. These are coins that have been struck incorrectly at the mint, and they're often worth far more than their face value. A minting error can be anything from a double die, where the coin's design is struck twice, to off-center strikes, where the design isn't properly aligned on the coin. These types of errors are considered rare and highly collectible, which means that if your 1975 Lincoln cent has one of these mistakes, it could be worth a lot more than you think. You might be wondering how likely it is to find a 1975 Lincoln cent with a minting error. While these errors are rare, they do happen from time to time. And when they do, they become incredibly valuable. Coins with minting errors can fetch top dollar at auctions, and some collectors are willing to pay a premium for these unique and imperfect pieces of history. So, what are we talking about when it comes to the potential value of a 1975 Lincoln cent? Well, let me put it this way: if you've got an uncirculated 1975 Lincoln cent, or better yet, one with a minting error, you could be holding onto a small fortune. Coins in excellent condition, particularly those that are rare or error-prone, can sell for a significantly higher price. In the case of the 1975 Lincoln 1 cent, you could potentially see it valued at $42,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $42,000 for a single penny. It's truly remarkable to think that something as common as a penny could end up being worth so much. But this is what makes the world of coin collecting so fascinating. Coins that are often overlooked or dismissed as worthless can, with the right combination of condition and rarity, become incredibly valuable. So, if you happen to have a 1975 Lincoln cent sitting around in your collection or in a box of spare change, now's the time to take a closer look. Check for any signs of minting errors, and examine the condition of the coin. If it's in great shape or has a unique error, it could be worth far more than its face value. Before we wrap things up, I want to remind you to keep exploring your coin collections. You never know what you might have hiding in your collection. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on future videos that uncover more valuable and rare coins from history. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most interesting and historically significant pennies in the United States coinage, the 1976 Lincoln 1 cent. While the Lincoln cent may seem like a standard, everyday coin to most, the 1976 version is something of a hidden gem in the world of numismatics, and if you've ever wondered whether your collection could contain something worth a small fortune, this coin could be your ticket to an exciting discovery. First, let's take a step back and talk about the Lincoln 1 cent as a whole. These pennies have been a part of American currency since 1909, when they were first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The iconic Lincoln portrait, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, has been featured on the obverse of the coin ever since. On the reverse, we typically see the Lincoln Memorial, which became the coin's design starting in 1959 and stayed there until 2008. But today, we're focusing specifically on the 1976 Lincoln 1 cent, a coin minted during a significant time in American history. The year 1976 is particularly important because it marked the bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This year, the entire country was celebrating its rich history, and as part of the bicentennial celebrations, the U.S. Mint issued special designs for several of the country's coins, including the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar. However, the 1976 Lincoln cent remained mostly unchanged, except for some unique variations that would make this coin stand out in years to come. The key to the 1976 Lincoln 1 cent's value is its rarity and condition. The penny itself wasn't made in any particularly limited quantity, but as is the case with most coins, the condition of the coin is what truly determines its worth. When most pennies are used in daily transactions, they're subject to wear and tear, scratches, dents, and other signs of circulation. 1976 pennies, like most coins produced during the 70s, were circulated widely, and as a result, it's hard to find one in perfect, uncirculated condition today. Now, uncirculated 1976 Lincoln cents are far more valuable than those that have been used as everyday change. These coins, which were never used in commerce, typically come from mint sets, where they were carefully stored immediately after being produced. When a 1976 Lincoln cent is still in mint condition, it's a lot more desirable to collectors who are searching for coins that have maintained their original appearance. These coins are sought after for their sharp details, clean surfaces, and lack of damage from regular circulation, but there's another element that could make the 1976 Lincoln 1 cent particularly valuable: minting errors. If you've been following along with our previous videos, you know that minting errors can significantly increase a coin's value. A minting error happens when something goes wrong during the coin's production, causing the coin to have an unusual or rare feature that makes it stand out from others. In the case of the 1976 Lincoln cent, there are several errors that have been spotted by collectors over the years. One of the most notable is the double die error, which occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, resulting in the design being doubled. This can lead to a noticeable double image on the Lincoln portrait or the date on the coin. These types of errors are rare and highly prized in the numismatic community, which means that a 1976 Lincoln cent with a double die error could be worth a significant amount of money. Another error that could make a 1976 Lincoln cent more valuable is an off-center strike, where the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. This results in part of the coin's design being cut off, making it a unique, one-of-a-kind piece. Coins with off-center strikes are often more valuable than those with perfect impressions, so if you find a 1976 Lincoln cent with this error, it could add thousands of dollars to its worth. So, what kind of price are we talking about for a 1976 Lincoln cent in exceptional condition or with one of these rare minting errors? Well, if you happen to have a pristine, uncirculated 1976 penny, you could be looking at a value of up to $39,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1976 Lincoln cent could be worth $39,000 if it's in near-perfect condition or contains a rare minting error. That's a pretty incredible amount of money for something most people might overlook as pocket change. Now, the likelihood of finding such a valuable coin in your change might seem slim, but that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Whether you're just starting out or have been collecting for years, there's always the possibility of stumbling upon a coin that's worth far more than its face value. If you're lucky enough to find a 1976 Lincoln cent that's in unblemished condition or features a minting error, you could be holding onto a piece of history, one that's potentially worth a small fortune. So, the next time you're sorting through a box of coins or going through your spare change, take a closer look at any 1976 pennies you might have. Even though these coins were produced in large quantities, there's still a chance that you have a hidden treasure in your collection. Today, we're going to dive into a seemingly simple coin that has captured the attention of collectors for decades, the 1981 Lincoln 1 cent. You might be wondering, what makes this particular penny stand out? Well, it's not just about its age, but rather its rarity, condition, and certain unique characteristics that make it a sought-after piece in the coin collecting world. Let's start with a quick history lesson. The Lincoln 1 cent has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1909, and it holds the distinction of being the first coin in the United States to feature the likeness of a historical figure, none other than President Abraham Lincoln. The iconic image of Lincoln on the obverse was designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it remains largely unchanged today. Over the years, the reverse of the penny has seen various designs, but it was in 1959 that the famous Lincoln Memorial design was introduced, which is what we see on most of the pennies from this era. Now, let's focus on the 1981 Lincoln 1 cent, which is part of a long line of pennies minted in the 1980s. The 1981 penny, while appearing like any other circulating cent, actually has some features that make it a collector's dream. First off, 1981 was a relatively quiet year for the U.S. Mint in terms of innovation or major design changes, but that doesn't mean that this coin doesn't have its own stories to tell. In fact, it's a great example of how certain years in the minting process can lead to rarer, more valuable coins due to subtle variations in production. In 1981, the U.S. Mint struck over 7 billion pennies, and these coins were widely circulated across the country. That's right, billions of these pennies were out in circulation, meaning that finding a pristine, uncirculated penny from this year is much harder than you might think. When you factor in the natural wear and tear from daily use, it's no wonder that 1981 Lincoln pennies in mint condition are highly prized by collectors. But here's the catch, it's not just the age or the sheer number of pennies from that year that makes this coin valuable. It's about finding one that is in exceptionally good condition, free from scratches, discoloration, and other imperfections. Uncirculated or proof versions of the 1981 Lincoln 1 cent are rare, and they tend to bring in much higher prices than their worn counterparts. So, what makes a coin like this one worth so much more? The condition of a coin is one of the most important factors in determining its value. Coins that have been carefully preserved, for example, coins that were stored in protective cases right after minting, are more likely to be in near mint or uncirculated condition. If you're lucky enough to have one of these 1981 pennies in pristine form, you might be sitting on a hidden treasure. Even though the penny is only worth 1 cent on its face, coins in excellent condition can fetch a pretty penny, and not just in the few dollars range. Now, we have to talk about a special subset of 1981 Lincoln pennies that can really skyrocket in value: error coins. Error coins are any coins that have imperfections from the minting process, and those imperfections can sometimes make them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. With the 1981 Lincoln 1 cent, there are a few errors that collectors are on the lookout for, like double strikes, off-center strikes, and die cracks. The double strike error happens when a coin is struck more than once by the same die, resulting in overlapping images. In the case of the 1981 Lincoln penny, if the Lincoln Memorial or Lincoln's portrait appears to be doubled, that's a big indication that you may have an error coin on your hands. Double strikes are rare and highly sought after, and they can significantly increase the coin's value. Another error that can add value to your 1981 Lincoln cent is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. These off-center coins are more visually interesting and are considered rare, which means they can be worth much more than a regular coin. Lastly, die cracks are another type of error that can occur when the die used to strike the coin develops cracks. These cracks can appear on the coin's surface and create raised lines that stand out against the rest of the design. Die cracks can sometimes make a coin unique, and while they may not be as dramatic as a double strike or off-center error, they can still increase a coin's value, especially if they're significant. So, what is the actual value of the 1981 Lincoln 1 cent if it's in great condition or has one of these rare errors? Well, ungraded or low-grade coins from this year may only be worth a few cents to $1. However, if you've got one in uncirculated condition, the value could reach several $1,000s. But that's not all. If you happen to have a 1981 Lincoln penny with a minting error, you could be looking at an incredibly high payout. Coins with rare errors can be valued at up to $37,400. Yes, you heard that right, $37,400 for a 1981 Lincoln penny if it's in perfect condition or has a rare minting error. That's a huge sum of money for a coin that most people would overlook, so it's always a good idea to carefully examine your collection to see if you have any hidden treasures like this one. So, the next time you find yourself going through your spare change or digging through an old coin jar, take a moment to look for that 1981 Lincoln penny. It might just be the coin that surprises you with its hidden value. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest discoveries. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.